Hello Golden State Warriors fans, we are here once again to bring you the latest news related to our team, and I would like to emphasize how committed we are to improving our performance to achieve great results. Before we dive into this intriguing news, I kindly request you to show your support by clicking the like button, and if you are not yet subscribed to our channel, I invite you all to join us on an exciting journey. Remember to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything.
Is Jimmy Butler worth the price for the Warriors? A former NBA star weighs in. Jimmy Butler may have swapped the sun-soaked shores of Miami for the championship pedigree of Golden State, but the echoes of his dramatic exit from the Heat are still reverberating across the NBA. The saga between Butler and Miami Heat president Pat Riley has become one of the league's most talked-about breakups, an emotional fallout fueled by mistrust, contract tension, and clashing visions for the future. It all began during the summer of 2024, when Butler approached the Heat front office seeking a 2-year, $113 million contract extension. But Riley, reportedly concerned about Butler's long-term durability and commitment, declined the deal. From there, the relationship began to unravel. What followed was a slow-burning tension that flared into public drama. Butler faced multiple team suspensions for conduct deemed detrimental, and in turn, he didn't hold back his frustration with the organization. By February 5, 2025, the Heat had seen enough. Butler was traded to the Golden State Warriors, where he quickly signed a new 2-year extension worth $121 million, keeping him in the Bay Area through the 2026-27 season. A contract with two sides of the coin. Speaking on the Run It Back podcast, Atlanta Hawks forward Georges Niang offered a thoughtful perspective on the situation. With first-hand experience navigating the business side of the NBA, Niang emphasized that both sides acted out of self-interest, which in the end, is the reality of professional sports. The front office has to do what's best for the team, Niang said. And players? They have to do what's best for themselves. Jimmy wanted a deal. He didn't get it in Miami, so he found it in Golden State. Negotiations like that, they're rarely clean. Superstar money means superstar expectations. Co-host and former sixth man of the year Lou Williams wasn't as forgiving. For him, a contract of Butler's size comes with a price tag of pressure. $60 million a year. That has to equal 25 points per game, or at least 10-12 assists, Williams said bluntly. You don't pay superstar money without expecting superstar production. That's just the math. He added that while Butler's leadership and intangibles are well known, franchises are right to demand elite output when handing out near-max deals, even to veterans. Different paths, unfinished stories. Since the trade, both teams have gone in diverging directions, and neither has found the ultimate success they were chasing. The Heat managed to squeak into the playoffs via the play-in tournament, only to suffer a swift and disappointing first-round exit at the hands of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Without Butler, the grit that once defined Miami's postseason identity seemed to fade. In contrast, Butler found quick success in Golden State, averaging 17.9 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 5.9 assists per game. His presence injected new energy into a team that had seemed to lose its way earlier in the season. The Warriors surged into the playoffs, but when Steph Curry went down, Butler struggled to carry the full load, and Golden State was eliminated by the Timberwolves in the Western Conference semifinals. What comes next? Now both franchises are left asking the same question: did they make the right move? For Miami, parting ways with their franchise cornerstone might signal a full reset. For Golden State, investing in a 35-year-old star carries risk, but also the hope that, when paired with a healthy Curry, Butler can push them back into true title contention. Jimmy Butler's story in Golden State is still being written. Whether he ultimately proves to be a bargain or a burden will depend not just on his stats, but on how far he can take the Warriors when it matters most. And if there's one thing history tells us about Jimmy Buckets, it's this: when the lights are brightest, he usually shows up. A divisive move. A defining opportunity. For Jimmy Butler, this fresh start in Golden State isn't just a career reset, it's a chance to reframe his legacy. The polarizing nature of his departure from Miami has left fans and analysts split. Some view him as a player who stood up for what he believed he deserved. Others see it as a case of a star aging out of his prime, unwilling to accept a reduced role or paycheck. Regardless of where one stands, the decision was bold, and now, all eyes are on how it plays out. Golden State, for its part, is betting on Butler's intangibles just as much as his box score. They're banking on his playoff experience, his edge, and his reputation for elevating teams in high-pressure moments. After all, this is the same player who nearly carried an injury-depleted Miami squad to a title in the bubble and went toe-to-toe with top-seeded opponents year after year. Behind the scenes, inside the Warriors' gamble. Sources close to the Warriors' front office have described the Butler deal as a calculated risk, a move made not just out of desperation, but out of belief that their championship window, while narrowing, isn't closed yet. General Manager Mike Dunleavy Jr. reportedly fought hard to make the deal happen, viewing Butler as the kind of player who could reignite a locker room that had grown too comfortable and too quiet. Internally, there's optimism that Butler's leadership style, direct, demanding, unapologetic, might be exactly what this version of the Warriors needs to return to form. But with great belief comes great pressure. Butler's $121 million contract extension locks him in through 2027, and with Curry turning 37 next season, the time to win is now. Anything less than a deep playoff run in 2026 will likely raise questions about whether this high-priced bet was the right one. League-wide reactions and a shifting narrative. Around the league, the reaction to Butler's move has been mixed. Some executives applauded the Warriors for staying aggressive and trying to extend their dynastic run. Others privately questioned the wisdom of investing so heavily in a player whose best years may be behind him. Media personalities haven't held back either. On NBA Today, ESPN analyst Kendrick Perkins remarked, "I love Jimmy, but Golden State is playing with fire here. You give that much money to a guy his age, you better hope he's got one more deep playoff run in the tank." At the same time, Butler's teammates have been nothing but supportive. Klay Thompson, whose own future with the team remains uncertain, praised Butler's toughness and leadership. "Jimmy's a dog. He holds everyone accountable. That's the kind of energy we've been missing," Thompson said in a late-season interview. The legacy at stake. For Butler, this chapter in Golden State could define how he's remembered. If he helps bring another title to the Bay, he'll cement his legacy not just as a competitor, but as a closer, someone who took risks, stood his ground, and delivered when it mattered most. But if the next 2 seasons fall short, the narrative may shift. Fair or not, questions will swirl about whether the Warriors overpaid for yesterday's version of Jimmy Butler. One thing is certain, Butler has never shied away from a challenge. And with the clock ticking on both his prime and Golden State's championship window, the stakes couldn't be higher. The story is still unfolding, but as always with Jimmy, expect fireworks. "I've seen everything I need to see," former NBA star makes bold claim about Jonathan Kaminga's future. The future of Jonathan Kaminga with the Golden State Warriors is quickly becoming one of the most talked-about storylines in the NBA. Will the explosive forward become a valuable trade chip in Golden State's pursuit of another superstar? Or will he finally be handed the keys to grow into the next face of the franchise? The basketball world remains divided. And recently, former NBA forward Chandler Parsons weighed in, offering high praise, but also a tough truth. Parsons sees untapped potential, but not in Golden State. Appearing on Run It Back, Parsons didn't hold back his thoughts on Kaminga's trajectory. He believes the 21-year-old has serious star potential, but that it may never be fully realized if he stays in the Warriors system. "I'm a big fan of Jonathan Kaminga," Parsons said. "I get it, Jimmy Butler came in, maybe that cut into his minutes and his role. But I watched what he did when Steph Curry was out, and he stepped up like a pro. When Curry was sidelined, Kaminga rose to the occasion. He led the team in scoring during critical stretches and showcased the kind of assertiveness and polish that had previously been hidden behind Golden State's veteran-heavy lineup. He showed poise, maturity, and impact," Parsons continued. "That series told me everything I need to know about him." Free agency could be Kaminga's turning point. This summer, Kaminga enters restricted free agency, a moment Parsons believes could open the door to a major shift in the young star's career. He's a restricted free agent, and honestly, I hope a team comes along and gives him a strong offer. "I don't think the Warriors match it," Parsons said. "Or maybe it turns into a sign-and-trade, which honestly might make the most sense for both sides." It's not about lack of belief in Kaminga, it's about fit. System clash could seal Kaminga's fate. While Kaminga's talent is undeniable, Parsons points to a deeper issue: stylistic incompatibility. He's so young, so raw, and he's not exactly a system guy yet. The Warriors run a very structured offense based on ball movement and spacing, Parsons explained. Kaminga thrives in open space, in isolation, in transition. That's where he's dangerous. And that's the core of the dilemma. Golden State's offense has always revolved around Steph Curry's gravitational pull, Draymond Green's facilitation, and now, Jimmy Butler's veteran presence. In such a tightly orchestrated system, there's limited room for ball-dominant forwards like Kaminga to create, grow, and lead. A star waiting to emerge. Many analysts agree that Kaminga may need a new environment, one where he's empowered to make mistakes, develop his decision-making, and take on a lead role. He's not a finished product yet, but his upside is incredible, Parsons said. With the right team, with a little more freedom, he could be a problem for the league. As the Warriors weigh their options this offseason, retooling for another title run or pivoting to the next generation, Kaminga stands at a crossroads. Will he be traded in search of short-term firepower? Or will a franchise take a leap of faith and build around his raw potential? No matter what happens, one thing is clear: Jonathan Kaminga has shown flashes of something special. Now it's just a matter of finding the right place to let it shine. A tipping point for Golden State's identity. Jonathan Kaminga's situation is more than just a contract dilemma. It reflects a larger identity crisis unfolding within the Warriors organization. For over a decade, Golden State has been synonymous with beautiful, unselfish basketball, off-ball movement, spacing, and veteran synergy built around the brilliance of Stephen Curry. But as that core ages and the league grows faster, younger, and more physical, there's a growing sense that the Warriors must choose a direction: double down on their veteran core, or invest in rising talent like Kaminga. So far, the signals are mixed. On one hand, head coach Steve Kerr has publicly praised Kaminga's development, often citing his defensive upside and improved discipline. He's grown a lot, Kerr said in a March 2025 presser. His athleticism is elite. We've asked a lot of him, and he's delivered when called upon. On the other hand, there's no denying that Kaminga's role fluctuated throughout the season, especially after the arrival of Jimmy Butler, who brought his own demanding style and veteran expectations. That limited Kaminga's touches, his confidence, and ultimately, his ability to build momentum. Teammates and analysts rally behind Kaminga. Privately, several teammates have expressed frustration about Kaminga's inconsistent role. He's got star-level talent, one Warriors player reportedly told The Athletic. We all see it. Sometimes it feels like he's playing on a leash. Media voices are beginning to echo that sentiment. He's a 20-point-per-game scorer on the right team, said J.J. Redick on a recent episode of The Old Man and the Three. And if Golden State doesn't want to hand him that opportunity, someone else will. Even NBA insiders believe that Kaminga may be one of the most intriguing young names on the trade market this offseason. According to NBA on TNT's Chris Haynes, multiple teams are already circling Kaminga. If Golden State makes him available, there will be serious interest. The free agency factor, a franchise-altering summer. As a restricted free agent, Kaminga's market is largely dependent on how aggressive other teams are willing to be. A significant offer sheet could force the Warriors into a tough decision: either match and recommit to his development, or orchestrate a sign-and-trade to maximize value while preserving cap flexibility. Teams like the Orlando Magic, Detroit Pistons, and Utah Jazz have already been mentioned as potential suitors, franchises with minutes, money, and a desire to build around explosive young talent. And from Kaminga's point of view, the chance to finally play a leading role might be too appealing to pass up. A star-in-waiting or a trade asset. This off-season, Jonathan Kaminga will no longer be just a promising young piece. He'll be a decision point. Golden State's front office faces immense pressure. Prioritize short-term contention by trading Kaminga for a win-now veteran? Or take the risk of grooming him into their next foundational piece? If they misjudge his ceiling, they could watch another franchise develop him into a star, just as the Warriors did with Jordan Poole, who blossomed, then regressed, and was eventually traded. But if they keep Kaminga and fail to optimize his role, they risk wasting precious years of both his development and Curry's twilight. The verdict is still out. For now, Jonathan Kaminga remains a Warrior. But as Chandler Parsons and other voices across the league have noted, his talent is too big to be boxed in for long. Whether Golden State chooses to unlock his full potential, or watch him do it elsewhere, will shape not only Kaminga's legacy, but possibly the future of one of the NBA's greatest dynasties. And in a league where timing is everything, this summer could be the moment that changes everything, for Kaminga, for Golden State, and for whatever team is bold enough to believe in what's next. Before Kevin Durant joined the Warriors, a Lakers legend thought they already had a smaller KD. Long before Kevin Durant shocked the basketball world by joining the Golden State Warriors in 2016, one NBA legend believed the Dubs already had their own version of the 2014 MVP. That legend? Jerry West. And the player he was talking about? Stephen Curry. The summer of 2016 is etched into NBA history for two unforgettable reasons. First, the Cleveland Cavaliers' miraculous comeback from a 3-1 deficit to defeat the 73-9 Warriors in the NBA Finals. And second, Kevin Durant's stunning decision to leave the Oklahoma City Thunder and sign with the very team that had just broken his heart. Durant instantly became one of the most polarizing figures in the league. Fans were split, some saw a smart career move, others saw betrayal. But what few realized at the time was that Jerry West, a Lakers icon and then advisor to the Warriors, had already seen shades of KD in someone else, Steph Curry. He's unique in so many ways, and he reminds me a little of a smaller Kevin Durant, West said in an interview with Slam magazine back in 2014. He's just a joy to watch. That comparison didn't come lightly. West added, there are only 3 or 4 players in the league I'd actually pay to watch, and he's one of them. People don't always realize how competitive he is. He was raised right, by great parents. Very grounded. He's a pleasure to be around. At the time, it was a bold statement. But little did West or anyone know that just 2 years later, Curry and Durant would be teammates, and together, they'd redefine dominance in the NBA. The dynasty that almost didn't happen. Before KD arrived, the Warriors were already making history. They won the NBA title in 2015 and followed it up with a record-breaking 73-9 regular season. But the heartbreak of losing in the 2016 finals left a crack in the foundation, and Durant was the final piece to seal it shut. With KD on board, Golden State became a juggernaut. For 3 straight years, they steamrolled the league, reaching the finals each season. They won back-to-back championships in 2017 and 2018, with Durant earning finals MVP honors both times. It was basketball perfection, fluid, unselfish, and often unstoppable. And while the dream of a three-peat fell short in 2019 due to a devastating string of injuries, many believe that without those setbacks, the Warriors would have walked away with a 3rd straight title and cemented their dynasty even further. From a bold comparison to basketball reality, Jerry West's comment about Curry being a smaller Kevin Durant may have seemed like a stretch in 2014. But looking back now, it feels almost prophetic. Curry's shooting changed the game. Durant's versatility elevated the Warriors to a level of basketball few teams have ever reached. Together, they weren't just teammates, they were a historic duo. In a league full of icons, legends, and rising stars, their time together remains a golden chapter in the NBA's story, and it all started with a vision from one of the game's wisest minds. A vision fulfilled, and a legacy cemented. Jerry West's early comparison didn't just foreshadow greatness, it foreshadowed a revolution. When Kevin Durant joined Stephen Curry and the Warriors, it wasn't just the formation of a super team, it was the merging of 2 basketball prodigies whose styles both clashed and complemented in perfect harmony. Durant brought unmatched length, scoring versatility, and calm under pressure. Curry brought the chaos. His off-ball movement, limitless range, and gravitational pull disrupted defensive schemes like no one before. Together, they forced the NBA to adapt, or be left behind. The ripple effects were immediate. Defensive systems had to be reimagined. Front offices scrambled to build rosters capable of surviving the Warriors' onslaught. Other stars, LeBron James included, began forming alliances in hopes of matching Golden State's firepower. The very concept of team building shifted. And for the Warriors, the gamble paid off. With Durant, they weren't just contenders, they were inevitable. Inside the locker room, more than just talent. What made the Curry-Durant era so fascinating wasn't just the talent on display, it was the dynamic between them. Durant, despite his superstar status, stepped into a system already built around Steph. Curry, in turn, showed humility rarely seen at that level, willingly sharing the spotlight. That selflessness helped the partnership flourish. Steve Kerr often spoke about how Curry's lack of ego set the tone. Steph could have made KD feel like an outsider, Kerr said in a 2020 interview. But he embraced him. That's leadership. That's why we were great. Jerry West's initial insight, seeing something of Durant and Curry, now looked less like a compliment and more like an alignment of basketball destiny. Both were generational scorers. Both were obsessed with their craft. And both knew what it took to win. The fallout and the what-ifs. Of course, not everything was perfect. The media pressure was relentless. Durant, often criticized for joining a 73-win team, bristled at the constant scrutiny. Despite 2 championships and 2 finals MVPs, he never fully escaped the narrative that he'd taken an easier path to a title. By 2019, tensions had simmered beneath the surface. Following an on-court argument with Draymond Green and feeling the pull of a new challenge, Durant made the decision to leave the Warriors and join the Brooklyn Nets. His departure marked the end of an era, but not the end of the Warriors' legacy. Looking back, and forward. Today, with Curry still leading the charge and Durant now a veteran voice on a new team, the memories of that brief, brilliant run remain vivid. Fans still debate whether that version of the Warriors was the greatest team ever assembled. Many say yes. And those inside the league? Most don't even question it. As for Jerry West's smaller Kevin Durant remark, it now reads like basketball prophecy. Not only did Curry rise to join Durant in the pantheon of all-time greats, he helped shape the very evolution of the game. And maybe that's the real story here. 2 once-in-a-generation players. 1 visionary comparison. And a team that changed basketball forever.